The Hinterkaifeck Murders is one of the most chilling and perplexing unsolved cases in history, set in the dark, cold forests of Bavaria, Germany. In the rural outskirts of Munich, 6 inhabitants of a small farmstead known as Hinterkaifeck met a gruesome and inexplicable end in March 1922. The victims were the Gruber family, Andreas Gruber, his wife Cilja, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel, and Victoria's 2 children, Cilja and Joseph. Also among the dead was their new maid, Maria Baumgartner. Strange events began unfolding around the Hinterkaifeck farm in the weeks leading up to the massacre. Andreas Gruber, the head of the household, noticed strange footprints in the snow leading from the forest to the house, but never returning. Though the tracks were unsettling, Andreas found no intruder when he searched. As if that weren't enough, the family heard disturbing sounds coming from the attic. When Andreas checked the attic, he found nothing. Yet the sounds persisted. An unfamiliar newspaper was also found in the house, one that no one in the family had purchased. Even more chilling, the previous maid had abruptly quit her job, citing the farm's eerie atmosphere and claiming the place was haunted. Unperturbed or unable to leave, the Grubers hired a new maid, Maria Baumgartner, who arrived at the farm on March 31, 1922, just hours before her death. Days after the murder, neighbors noticed the family had not been seen for some time. The family had missed Sunday Mass, and young Cilja had been absent from school. Concerned, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor who had previously had a romantic relationship with Victoria, led a small group to the farm. When they arrived, they made a horrifying discovery. Inside the barn, under a thick layer of hay, they found the mutilated bodies of Andreas, Cilja, Victoria, and young Cilja. All had been bludgeoned to death with a mattock, a tool typically used for farming. Shockingly, it appeared that little Cilja had survived the initial attack for some time, as she had torn out clumps of her own hair in panic and pain before succumbing to her injuries. Inside the house, they found the bodies of Joseph and Maria, both similarly killed with blunt force. What was particularly unsettling was that the killer had not fled the scene immediately. Instead, they appeared to have lived on the farm for several days after the murders. Food had been eaten, the livestock had been fed, and smoke was seen coming from the chimney. The police launched an extensive investigation, but despite their best efforts, no solid leads emerged. Over 100 suspects were questioned, including Lorenz Schlittenbauer, the neighbor who discovered the bodies. Some theories suggested that Joseph, the youngest victim, was actually the illegitimate child of Victoria and Schlittenbauer, and that Schlittenbauer had committed the murders in a fit of jealousy. However, no evidence could prove this theory. Other theories pointed to Victoria's husband, who was supposedly killed in World War, but whose body was never found. Some speculated that he had returned and murdered the family in a rage. But again, no concrete evidence surfaced to support this. The most eerie aspect of the case was the lack of any clear motive. The family had no known enemies, and nothing of significant value appeared to have been stolen. The brutality of the killings suggested a crime of passion, yet the calculated nature of the killer's actions after the murders, feeding the animals remaining on the property, hinted at something more sinister. The Hinterkaifeck farm was eventually demolished, and no conclusive answers ever emerged. In 1923, the skulls of the victims were sent to a clairvoyant in an effort to gain insight into the murders, but nothing useful came from this attempt. The skulls themselves were lost during World War II, leaving the victims to be buried without their heads. To this day, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of Germany's most famous cold cases. It's a grim reminder of the depths of human darkness, where even a quiet, isolated farm could become the setting for unimaginable horror.